Hello everybody and welcome back to our Selcouth.DIGITAL YouTube channel. I'm Simon. I'm your host on React Native live coding series every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Recently I had some technical difficulties with my hardware, so I had to buy a new one, and hopefully the quality of streams is gonna be better and more enjoyable for you guys. But today, I wanted to talk about something completely different. I do get a lot of questions and requests from you guys of what extensions I've been using for my VS Code text editor. So I'm going to describe and explain every single extension I've been using, just to make sure that you can refer to it and get back to this video whenever you need to. Let's get started. Okay, so here's the list, and I'm gonna go one by one, explaining what it does roughly, so you guys can see how it works and everything. Some of them are actually self-explanatory, so there is no need to actually say much about it, and most of them do have a very good documentation. So whenever you go to actually download some of these extensions, they just give you a perfect explanation of what it does and how it works. So there is no need for me to actually get into details of every single extension, because it's just all well documented by the authors of that extension. But I can actually just show what I've been using so far myself. And the first one on the list, as they're listed alphabetically, is the auto close tag. And as you can imagine, it auto closes the tag that you open. And just to quickly show you how it works is that we are going to go to this app.js. So if I close this tag, it just auto closes the whole thing for me. So just once again, if I open the tag type view, and as soon as I close the opening tag, it closes the entire thing for me. So it's very nice. It works with HTML and XML, and as you saw, JS as well, React Native and things like that, which is very nice. Then the second one on the list is auto import, and that just gives you the paths of the imports that you can possibly use. So whenever you are importing something into your ES6 or above files, then it just gives you the hint of what is possible to import, which is also very handy. And that's pretty much it. There are just, you know, very small additions, but they make a huge difference. And the next one on the list is Babel, or as some people call it, Babel, ES6, ES7. So that gives you all that beautiful sugar around ES6 and ES7. So it gives you all this syntax, which comes with the new features of futuristic JavaScript. Then .env is just a syntax highlight for environment variables. If you guys use environment variables, or if you don't, I do recommend to start using environment variables and store all the sensible data in there. And as you can see, it's not just like a text. It gives you that nice kind of syntax highlighting, so you know exactly where the strings start and end, and what they are, if they're booleans or numbers, or you know, whatever the values are. You can just take a look at it and quickly recognize what's what. So that is also very useful. Then another extension on my list is ESLint, which is one of the most useful things that I've been using, and I do recommend this extension or the tool to anyone, because as you can see, it also has almost 19 million downloads. So this is how popular this stuff is. It underlines all of the errors, and also for people who might not know, you can define your own rules, or you can go for very popular rule sets. For example, the ones written by Airbnb or some other companies, big companies which has been using this kind of stuff for a while. And you can also extend those rules, or you can write your own ones from scratch. So it really depends what you want to go for. It's really customizable, and it's definitely one of the most helpful and useful things out there. So if something goes wrong within your code, I don't know what your rules are, but if you start, I don't think I haven't specified any rules, any ESLint rules for this project yet. But essentially, when you start doing something wrong, if you do, there you go. If you do things like that, it just underlines, it highlights it for you. It just lets you know at the runtime that there is something wrong with your file or with your project. You can go to the output, and if you have your ESLint configured, you can quickly see what has been wrong. And yeah, this is how useful this kind of stuff is. They also give you a lot of flexibility of how you want to use your rules, and what exactly should be erroring, or what exactly should be highlighted, throughout your code base, to actually make it very customizable for you, right? But as you can see, it's got almost 19 million downloads. It's, very popular. It's got 4.5 stars out of 5, so it's a very useful extension. Then another one on the list is the one which we all really are afraid of. No, I'm only kidding. We're not. This is also a very useful thing. If you're using Git and you're working with some other developers, you can actually check quickly. If you hover over the line, or if you click on the line, it gives you that option at the bottom, at the status bar, of who you should blame for it, and then you can go directly to your Git commit and see the changes made for this particular line, which is absolutely essential if you are working with other developers, right? If you really want to track the changes, if you really want to get back to who's changed what and when and why, this is very useful. You can quickly get back to that particular moment in the history, in the Git history, the source, the history of source control, and just get it from there. You can just see who changed it, and you can either have a chat with that person and ask why, blah blah, however you want to use it. It's very useful. Another one on the list is the Git history, which basically explains itself. It just shows you the history of that particular either file or the entire code base. It really depends how you can go to your code base and right click on a file and check the history of that file, or you can just check the history of the entire code base. You can change the branch and see what is the history tree for either the entire code base or particular commit or things like that. So it's very visual. It's very nice. Let me just close this terminal for now, so you can see it in full screen. And there you go. Yeah. So here are the changes. Here are the commits, and you can actually compare the changes against the current version or the previous version, or yeah, I mean the options are kind of endless almost. But again, if you want to go to their docs and see what the plugin is capable of, then please do. Again, it's almost 5 million downloads. Those plugins are super popular, and almost everybody's using it. If you are actually, if it's your full-time job to be, if it's not even your full-time job, but if you are a coder, if you work with other people, or if you want to track your changes, if you want to see the history of what you've committed to your repo, this kind of tools are priceless, pretty much. You know, like they help you so much from within your text editor level that it's just unbelievable. It's super super fun to use them and very useful at the same time. So it's a win-win kind of situation here. But let's get moving. Let's get on to another extension, just to make it a bit, you know, just to keep it short and quick. So it's GetLens. This is probably one of my favorite extensions for VS Code, as it gives you a lot of different things out of the box. And as you can see, it's 14.5 almost million downloads, 5 out of 5 stars. And I've been asked about this extension, particularly on YouTube and Facebook, and people do like the way it works, which is, I think, so you could probably forget Git blame and Git history if you are using GetLens, because GetLens is just a super pack of everything. It has everything. So as you can see, it shows you the name, who to blame for things. It's all customizable as well, so you can either enable or disable certain options. Everything is up to you. You can go to the settings and switch it on or off depending on your preference, really. The reason why I didn't like it, the reason why I went for a separate Git blame was that I wanted to have it in the status bar, and I actually do like the Git blame extension for blaming. I use GetLens for something else, but as you can see, the docs are kind of long and detailed, and there are so many options. You know, the file history, it helps you with like stashes and things. So let's say, because I think someone asked me, what is this Git related stuff at the bottom, and how do they get it? So this is GetLens, pretty much. So you can see that there are the branches, and you can switch between the branches, or if you have there is a way to actually enable a tab in your Explorer to have GetLens in there as well. So you can actually see, I would have to go to the settings, but that would take me too long to actually enable it all. And probably I would have to record another video to explain how GetLens works. So it's probably best for you to go to the marketplace and take a look at it yourself to get into details, because to understand its full potential, I seriously would have to record like an hour's long video just to explain how it works. But basically, it's a package which allows you to use a lot of different options to support Git and whatever is needed for checking in and checking out, and you know, releasing, stashing, going through the history of the files, going through the history of the commits, rebasing, things like that. You know, comparing the changes when you run into merge conflicts. It's all in there. So I do recommend checking out this extension, because it's absolutely unbelievable what they've done with it. It's just great. But let's move on to another one. So this is JavaScript 2015 is 6 code snippets. So basically, whenever you write a shorthand and hit enter or tab, oh yeah, it's tab actually. So then it fulfills the entire line for you. So you can just use this shorthand to write, you know, very common lines which you're gonna be using or you've been using everywhere in your files. And this is just a helper kind of thing, which shortens the time of developing pretty much. Markdown all-in-one is again just some sort of keyboard shortcuts just to make it quicker, just to have that kind of ability to use some shorthands and not to keep everything on mind and take your development onto another level, just to code really quickly, just to focus on very important things. You don't want to remember you know, how to make things bold in Markdown. Maybe you do, but you can also use the shorthand and actually focus on other things which require a lot of time when developing, as you might already know. Markdown linting, that is just a syntax check to make sure that everything you've written in Markdown is actually valid. And if it's not, it would underline the errors for you. Another extension on the list is Node npm, or actually Node Package Manager. I'm not sure why they called it Node npm, which is actually Node Package Manager, which is a bit weird. But it doesn't matter. So this helps you to so this helps you to run the npm scripts defined in the package.json and validating the installed modules against the dependencies defined in the package.json, so you can actually see what is wrong or what's missing, or if there is a mismatch between what you've got installed and what is actually defined in package.json. This is the extension for you. So it helps you to run the scripts as well, and it validates the dependencies for you, which is very nice. Then again, npm IntelliSense, whenever you want to import something into your files, it gives you the hints of what's already installed and what you can import into your files from Node modules. So you don't have to check it yourself manually on your local host, or you know, in your Node modules. You don't have to open the Finder or the File Explorer and go and check things yourself, because this is actually going to give you the hints of what you can install, what you can import. OneDark Pro extension, it's actually just a theme. So the theme that I've been using, the one you can see, is called OneDark Pro. There are a few different variants of this theme, but I actually used it in Atom previously, another text editor that I used to use previously, and I quite liked it. I got used to it. I love the colors. I love the syntax color that it comes with, and I got used to it so much that it's actually almost a psychological kind of thing. When I take a look at something, I already know what that is, so I don't have to. I don't even have to question either myself or I don't have to check the type of the thing, because I know if it's blue, it's a method. If it's yellow, it's a class, or it's things like that. If it's green, it's a string, and it actually rhymes as well. which is quite. This is actually quite good theme, but it's a personal preference. So if you don't like it, don't have to use it. Prettier code formatter is something that my friend recommended to me, and since then I've been using it. It's great. It can be connected with your ESLint rules, and whenever you save your file, whenever whenever you either you save or whenever you select some snippets of your code and format, everything would get formatted to desired code format, either defined in ESLint or defined in your text editor settings. So it's great. It's very useful. It's very powerful. And obviously that again just cuts the time of unnecessary coding, because it's not really coding. You don't want to be kind of moving things around. If you have prettier, you just click save and that formats the entire file for you. So I think that's great. Okay, React Native Snippet is just a just a small tool, a shorthand for the most common React Native lines of code. For example, the component creation or the imports or exports or things like that. So it's actually very useful as well. React Native styled component snippets. It's just another thing for another shorthand for styled components. It's just a snippets that you can use for CSS for styled components, which is great. React Native tools. I mean, I've been recently working with React Native, so that's why I've got quite a few React Native related extensions. And this particular one, yes. So as you might know or might not know, when developing React Native components or React Native related code, there are several ways of doing things, and this tool helps you to use certain things. So as you can see, it just gives you the hints of what styles you've got available and what you can import, what you can use. So it's very handy. You can debug it as well. You can just run a debugger and that would just debug the whole thing for you, which is very useful. I don't think I've been actually using the full potential of this tool, but it's been useful for fulfilling certain names here and there, certain properties of the objects here and there, just to make it a bit easier to use when coding React Native. And if you really want to know a bit more about it, please do read their docs, as everything is in there pretty much. Relative path, that's again another sort of helper, which just gives you the path to certain files in VS Code. So you can actually, I think you can actually get it directly from the file. So when you right click on the file, I think that would actually give you copy path. There you go, or copy relative path. I think that adds it to it. Maybe I'm mistaking it, but I think this is what it's for, or at least this was the reason why I actually got it. Right, the next one on the list is the terminal, and this is by far one of them. This is like a must. It's so essential that I shouldn't even be describing it here. Some people do like to have their terminal open separately, but since I started using since I started using it, since they enabled that kind of option, I just can't get back to where I was before. So the terminal is actually obviously the terminal is the command line, and I'm using ZSH. ZSH is it's just like a superset for the terminal. There are things there is just some sugar around ZSH. So for example, if I wanted to, if I list all the files and folders within this directory, I don't have to see the name of the directory. I can just omit it and go directly to docs, which is great. And there are things like that in ZSH. It's just making your life a bit easier, and I do recommend to go for it. But yeah, but the terminal is a must, and this gives you a lovely way of dividing your terminal, so you can have 3 or more, how many you want to have processes running at the same time. Oops, sorry. So you can have multiple tabs within the same sort of area of terminal, which is absolutely great, as I normally have 2 of them. And this is brilliant. You can also add more tabs, let's say, so you can have like 2 separate tabs, and within those tabs you can just divide those tabs by what, but by other tabs, or by processes. So it is very useful, very handy, very powerful as well, and it does what you want, what it needs to be doing. So I love it. Okay, then another one on the list is a ToDo Highlight extension. And if you haven't used it before, this is what it is. So basically, whenever you do ToDo : it just highlights it. It just marks it with yellow. And when you do fix me : it just marks it with pink. So if you do leave this kind of comments for yourself or for your colleagues, that would actually just highlight it for you, so you can spot it easier when navigating through your files. And the last one on the list, but not least, is the VS Code icons. It's a set of icons which was probably one of the first that they built for VS Code, and it just grew since, right? So you can see how many different files they've covered, and I think this is pretty much everything. So whenever you go through the list, you can see that every single kind of folder or file has its own icon, and you can quickly recognize what it is. You can quickly see by looking at the icon what type of file or what type of a folder it is. So it's definitely very, very useful. So this is it. This is my list. This is what I've been using so far. Thanks very much for watching this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you did, do like the video, and if you do use a bunch, or if you use different extensions or a bunch of extensions, please do let me know. I would love to give it a go. I would love to test out more extensions, or if there is something that I've been missing out, on, then definitely do let me know. Please leave a comment below this video, and let's make sure that we're actually educating each other, as I'm sure there is loads to learn from you guys, and I'm probably missing on some things which so definitely worth me checking it out. So if you can just leave a comment below this video and let me know what else you've been using, or what I could try on, when developing either React or React Native, because I'm a JavaScript developer. So whatever is useful, that would be great. Again, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on Wednesday, as usual, doing the React Native live coding for you at 8 p.m. See you there.